Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Cain will warn Nina Reeves, Jason Morgan will confront Britt Westbourne, and Jack Brennan will reveal a shocking truth. GH just revealed its weekly preview, and fans should prepare for some major drama over the next 5 days. The advertisement begins with a chat between Charlotte Cassadine and Carly Spencer. They are in Carly's kitchen when Charlotte informs her cousin, "You didn't hear? Jason is back." Carly appears absolutely surprised to learn that her BFF has been released by the WSB. Despite how stunning the information is, she will be happy to know that Jason has returned home safely. As Charlotte delivers that bit of information, the scene shifts to Jason walking through the hospital's sliding doors. As he accomplishes this, Britt is on the other side, stunned but ecstatic. She'll be overjoyed that her boyfriend is free, but she may not get the romantic reunion she's hoping for. As GH fans are aware, Jason has returned from his WSB captivity, a transformed man. Jason's first and only focus is Danny Morgan, so it doesn't appear that he'll be eager to resume up where he and Britt left off, which may disappoint the good doctor. Britt has been in a downward spiral since her return to Port Charles, and Jason's likely rejection will be yet another huge setback. While the General Hospital footage for the week of July 20th continues, Anna Devane is shown returning to the PCPD and sitting in the interrogation room with Brennan. She's referring to Ross Cullum's shooting that night on the dock, when Jason was taken away. This is when Anna realizes Cassius Faison had the most reason to shoot the WSB director. Brennan informs her that Cassius was not the culprit. Brennan already knows who shot Cullum, thanks to Danny, and it appears that Rocco Falconeri will tell Anna the truth. The GH teaser concludes with the final moment between Drew and Nina. The two are at the Courtemain boathouse, and Nina appears to have wheeled Drew up in front of the water. Drew looks to her while she is settling him in and asks, "What's up, Nina?" General Hospital spoilers for the week of July 20th suggest explosive scenes, major confrontations, and secrets revealed. Fans should tune in to discover what happens next in the small community. Check CDL frequently for spicy General Hospital spoilers, updates, and news. Make us your primary source for all things GH. Drew Courtemain strode into Nina Reeves' office at Crimson, his face a mix of barely restrained rage and real worry. The pristine executive suite, which is usually a hotbed of fashion and ambition, felt uncomfortable as Nina looked up from her workstation, her expression moving from astonishment to guarded defense. "Drew, what brings you here unannounced? If this is about Willow again, I've already told you." "It's not just about Willow this time," Drew interrupted, shutting the door tightly behind him. He leaned over her desk, his words low but forceful. "Nina, you're playing with fire. Jack Brennan is dangerous more than you realize. His games with the WSB, his manipulations, they're going to drag you and everyone around you down. Stay away from him. For your sake, for our daughter's sake." Nina slumped back in her chair, crossed her arms. The warning hung heavily in the air, reminding us of the tangled webs at Port Charles. Drew had been on a quest recently, piecing together Brennan's connections to recent dangers, including those threatening Jocelyn and larger Cassadine remnants. His affiliation with some forces had provided him with information that painted Brennan as a puppet master who pulled strings on several fronts. Nina, ever the survivor, had her own reasons for dealing with powerful men, but Drew's words touched a nerve. She knew Brennan's charm concealed brutality, yet a part of her thrived on the edge he represented. As Drew pressed his case, explaining Brennan's latest movements that could reveal long-held secrets, Nina's thoughts turned to her difficult family relationships. Willow's happiness was in the balance, and Sasha's homecoming had added to the Corinthos Courtemain conflict. "You don't get to dictate my life, Drew," she responded, but her tone lacked conviction. The warning struck a chord somewhere deep inside. Port Charles had shown her that alliances can turn deadly overnight. Meanwhile, across town, in a discreet meeting spot near the shore, Jason Morgan waiting, his stoic demeanor concealing a maelstrom of emotions. Britt Westbourne approached warily, her return to Port Charles after years abroad fraught with secrecy and unfinished business. The two had a complicated relationship that included deceit, attraction, and shared risks between Faison and the Cassadines. Britt's arrival had shocked many, But her rendezvous with Jason was fraught with potential discoveries. "Jason," Britt murmured, her voice full of indignation and vulnerability. She had been tasked with monitoring some aspects of Sidwell's operations, and her medical knowledge and street smarts made her valuable. "I didn't expect you to show." Jason nodded, searching the surroundings for hazards. "You said it was important. About Nathan, about what really happened after everything went down." Their talk flowed like a delicate dance. Britt shared details of her survival narrative, including the tests and escapes that had kept her concealed. Jason, ever the guardian, listened closely, his own secrets from his time away mirroring hers. There was unresolved tension, a flare that neither had completely quenched. As Britt mentioned potential threats returning to Port Charles, Jason's protective instincts kicked in. "If Brennan or Sidwell are targeting you, you must come to me. You cannot go it alone." The meeting dragged on as they exchanged information. Britt cautioned Jason about Drew's growing influence and Nina's vulnerabilities. In turn, Jason gave information about Anna's investigations. Their friendship, built in upheaval, felt reinvigorated, hinting at potential collaboration, or more, in the coming days. Britt's homecoming provided optimism for some but caused issues for others, particularly Maxie and others connected to the past. Anna Devane sat at her desk at the PCPD, furrowing her brow as she reviewed Brennan's paperwork. The former WSB agent turned commissioner had devoted her life to justice, but Jack Brennan was always one step ahead. Anna felt a familiar chill as Brennan entered her office unexpectedly, his presence imposing and his grin charming. "Commissioner Devane," he remarked calmly, taking his seat without waiting for an invitation. "We need to talk." Anna stood up straight, her fingers immediately reaching for her weapon. "What do you want, Brennan? More games? More lies about your operations?" Brennan's eyes twinkled with his trademark combination of threat and seduction. "No games this time. A warning, actually. And perhaps a stunning proposition." He leaned forward, releasing a bombshell that astonished Anna. Details of a bigger scheme involving international players, one that included persons near to her heart, including possible connections to Robin or previous WSB betrayals. Brennan claimed to have information that may clear ancient ghosts, but it came at a cost. Cooperation that blurred the lines between legality and shadow activity. "Join me, Anna, or see everything you've built crumble." The realization slammed home. Anna's mind raced over years of investigations, defeats, and hard-fought successes. Brennan's information checked out on preliminary checks, but trusting him was a risk no rational individual would take. "Why come to me now?" she shouted, her voice firm despite the shock. "Because you're the only one who can handle it," Brennan said, getting up to depart. "Think about it. The clock is ticking more than you know." He walked away, leaving Anna startled in silence, the weight of his words bearing down. She quickly grabbed her phone and dialed trustworthy buddies like Dante or Sonny, but the worry lingered. Brennan had startled her not just with knowledge, but also with the suggestion that her battle for justice would necessitate breaking rules she had hitherto upheld. As these events transpired in Port Charles, waves reverberated across the town. Drew's warning to Nina made her reevaluate her strategy at Crimson, and in her personal life. She tentatively reached out to Willow, healing broken relationships caused by secrets. Nina's tenacity shined through. She had rebuilt herself several times, from waitress to magazine entrepreneur, and she refused to allow Brennan or Drew determine her future. Jason and Britt's meeting aroused some hushed suspicion. Sightings of them together aroused suspicions, especially among those who were aware of Britt's complex family history and Jason's connections to Carly and Sonny. Carly, suffering with her own post-breakup agony, eventually confided in Jason, with the trio's past serving as a persistent undercurrent. Britt's presence provided medical insights into ongoing cases, particularly worries about patients involved in recent violence. Anna, reeling from Brennan's visit, immersed herself into work but couldn't get over the experience. She met with Laura Collins to talk about mayoral implications and potential risks to the city. Brennan's approach stunned Anna, forcing her to confront moral gray areas she had previously negotiated. Will allying with him briefly protect Port Charles or doom it further? Drew focused on family affairs following his incident with Nina. He spoke with Scout and pondered on his own transition from military SEAL to Quartermain heir. His admonition was based on experience. He had seen power corrupt and ruin. Nina visited Wiley to absorb the talk and reflect on her legacy. Motherhood had altered her, however imperfectly. The interconnected stories emphasize Port Charles's central truth. No one functioned in isolation. Jason's protected rendezvous with Britt suggested potential collaborations against common opponents. Brennan's daring attempt against Anna heightened tensions, possibly pulling in Valentine Cassadine, whose own plots were interwoven with the WSB remnants. In the days that followed, Nina took some of Drew's suggestions, discreetly isolating herself from Brennan while gathering her own information. She and Drew discovered uncommon common ground in defending Willow, forming a shaky bridge over past betrayals. Jason and Britt deepened their conversation by delving into personal histories as well as threats. Britt expressed her vulnerabilities concerning her health and prior decisions, with Jason providing silent support that felt like old times but fresh beginnings. Meanwhile, Anna conducted a covert investigation into Brennan's assertions. Her shock changed to determination. She enlisted Max Scorpio and others to put together a counter-strategy. The meeting showed both vulnerabilities in her network and strengths in her commitment. Brennan underestimated her ability to use his games against him. Carly, having learned about the many strands, rallied behind Sonny. The Corinthian Empire faced new challenges, but family relationships remained strong. Jocelyn, still healing from her ordeals, trained with friends, encouraged by the adults' resolve. Lucas blended hospital work and personal life, providing medical insight into Britt's comeback. The warning, the encounter, and the unexpected revelation combined to create a dramatic tapestry. Port Charles never slept, with its citizens always navigating love, devotion, and danger. Drew's warning to Nina sowed seeds of doubt, which could save her. In the midst of uncertainty, Jason and Britt reconnected, offering optimism. Brennan's daring pushed Anna to reach higher. As the nights faded and the fresh days arose, alliances changed. Nina addressed Brennan herself, armed with Drew's discoveries and claiming independence. Jason offered backing to Britt in a subtle operation, and their synergy was evident. Anna set up a trap, using Brennan's stun to her advantage. The town was buzzing with anticipation. Would Drew's warning stick? Can Jason and Britt's partnership endure previous flames and new threats? How would Anna respond to Brennan's bold move? In General Hospital's environment, solutions led to new questions, but resilience defined them all. Through warnings and stuns, meetings and shocks, the protagonists forged ahead, hearts and schemes entwined in the frantic pulse of Port Charles. You are trusting the wrong people. Someone is making moves behind the scenes, and by the time you notice it, the harm may have already been done. Nina examined his face closely. Drew was not prone to fear, and he was not known for exaggerating. If he appeared so concerned, there had to be a reason. Who? She inquired. I can't prove everything yet, Drew said. But I know enough to warn you to be careful. Keep an eye on everyone. Don't assume everyone is completely honest. The caution stayed long after Drew had departed. Nina stayed there, revisiting each recent discussion in her memory. Had she neglected anything? Had she been manipulated without recognizing it? Jason went down the coastline across town, hoping that the fresh air would help him think clearly. Life had thrown him into innumerable risky circumstances, but mental uncertainty had always been more difficult to handle than physical danger. He liked action to countless questions. As he approached the pier, he spotted a familiar woman standing near the railing. For a little period, he questioned if he believed what he was seeing. Britt turned slowly. Their gazes met. Neither spoke immediately. Time seemed to stand still as memories returned all at once. You look surprised, Britt replied with a slight smile. I didn't expect to see you. I've heard that before. Jason gave himself a little smile. I guess some things never change. Their silence was pleasant. It contained years of shared history, tangled feelings, missing possibilities, and unanswered questions. Britt stared out over the lake. I almost didn't come. What made you reconsider? I discovered that running away from the past does not erase it. Jason understood exactly what she meant. Their talk began tentatively, concentrating on everyday issues before eventually progressing to the themes they had avoided for far too long. I've thought about everything that happened, Britt said. So have I. Have you ever considered how different life could have been? Jason halted. Sometimes. It wasn't a complicated response, but it was genuine. Meanwhile, Anna had been investigating many separate investigations that had unexpectedly become linked. The more information she gathered, the more muddled things became. She scheduled a meeting with Brennan, hoping that he would have some answers. Instead, she found herself asking more questions than before. Brennan arrived exactly on time. His serene confidence drew Anna's attention. "You wanted to see me," he explained. "I need clarification." "On what?" "Everything." He gave a little smile. "I was afraid you might say that." Anna was not amused. "Stop speaking in riddles. I'm trying to protect you. I can decide for myself what I need protection from." Brennan glanced around to make sure no one was listening. Then he leaned forward. "What I'm about to tell you changes everything." Anna stood perfectly motionless. "There are people you believe you understand," Brennan said. "You don't." She frowned. "What does that mean?" "It suggests someone has been meticulously managing events from the start." Anna's intuition immediately kicked into high gear. "Who?" "I can't give you all the answers today." "Why not?" "Because if I do, you'll be their next target." The words astounded her. Anna had spent decades fighting criminals, foreign threats, and impossible assignments, but Brennan's certainty troubled her more than she anticipated. "You actually believe I'm in danger?" "I know you are." Carly also detected a growing sense of tension in the town. Conversations came to a halt when specific names were discussed. Friends avoided making eye contact. Rumors multiplied by the hour. She'd seen this pattern before. Someone desired confusion. Confused folks committed blunders. Mistakes created chances. Sonny observed the same thing. "We're missing something," he explained. Carly nodded. "What is the question?" Jason and Britt resumed their conversation on the pier. The distance between them gradually diminished. They laughed at moments they hadn't thought about in years. For a short time, the burdens of Port Charles appeared further away. "You've changed," Britt said. "So have you. Hopefully for the better." "I think so." She grinned. "I'll take that as a compliment," Jason replied, looking toward the horizon. "I've learned not to take time for granted." Britt followed his gaze. "Neither have I." Their reunion was not emotional. Did not need to be. Quiet chats, rather than dramatic statements, often elicited the strongest feelings. Nina felt herself rehearsing Drew's warning several times. She eventually decided she couldn't just wait. If someone was influencing events, she was determined to find out the truth for herself. She began contacting people she trusted, asking careful questions but without disclosing too much. Almost immediately, she spotted irregularities. Various persons gave various accounts of the same events. Certain aspects simply did not add up. For the first time, Drew's warning felt more like actuality than supposition. Meanwhile, Anna refused to accept Brennan's inadequate explanation. "If you know something," she insisted, "tell me everything." "I can't." "You won't." "There is a difference." Anna crossed her arms. Brennan took a slow breath. "I'm listening. The people behind this operation expect predictable reactions. So we surprise them." "Exactly." His assurance piqued her interest despite her irritation. "What do you need from me?" "Be patient," Anna said, laughing softly. "You've clearly forgotten who you're talking to." "No," Brennan answered. "I remember exactly who you are." The remark remained between them. Despite herself, Anna began to question all she thought she understood. Across town, Drew received a telegram that confirmed one of his assumptions. Someone had accessed sensitive information. Someone close. He sensed things were progressing faster than intended. He picked up the phone. "Nina needs to know." But before he could make the call, another message arrived. Too late. His expression clouded. Jason felt something shift as well. Years of experience honed his instincts. Even during quiet chats, he was conscious of his surroundings. He saw a parked car that hadn't moved in about an hour. Someone inside seemed to be watching. Britt followed his gaze. "What is it?" "I'm not sure yet." "Should we leave?" "Probably." They strolled away nonchalantly, without drawing attention. The automobile stayed where it was. They didn't glance back again. Several blocks later, Jason discreetly verified his suspicions. Britt's expression clenched as she said, "They followed us. So this wasn't a coincidence." "No." She breathed softly. "I should have known." Jason maintained his cool. "We'll handle it. Like the old days?" He grinned slightly, hopefully with fewer explosions. Despite the gravity of the situation, she laughed. Nina returned to the Metro Court and challenged someone, whose explanation sounded scripted. "You seem nervous," she commented. "I'm not. You keep changing your story. I don't know what you're talking about." "You do." The conversation stopped abruptly as the other person walked away without saying anything else. That reaction informed Nina all she needed to know. Someone was clearly hiding something. Anna continued to compare evidence with Brennan. Piece by piece, a bigger picture formed. Several unrelated instances were unexpectedly linked. Various people unintentionally played roles in the same larger conspiracy. "This has been planned for months," Anna noticed. "Longer. Why now?" "Timing." "For what?" Brendan caught her gaze. "For everything to fall apart at once." The thought stunned Anna. Port Charles had endured organized crime, business machinations, family feuds, and international espionage. However, this threat seemed different since it was based on deception rather than violence. People were persuaded into turning against one another. Trust itself had become a weapon. As twilight fell over the city, they each came to a similar conclusion. Drew understood that the warnings had only just begun. Nina understood that someone wanted her to make a mistake. Jason realized that his reconnection with Britt was unlikely to be coincidental. Britt realized that returning to Port Charles had put her back in the midst of unfinished business. Anna accepted that Brennan had facts she couldn't afford to ignore. Brennan realized that once the truth was revealed, no relationship in Port Charles would be the same. The lights reflected across the water as the city continued on, ignorant of the impending crucial turning point. Every decision taken over the following few days would count. Every interaction may reveal another secret or develop another enigma. Friends would question each other. Enemies may unexpectedly become allies. Long-forgotten pledges would resurface, wanting to be fulfilled, and hidden agendas would eventually emerge. For the time being, everyone could only prepare for what was to come. Drew's warning had sowed the first seeds of distrust. Jason and Britt's surprise meeting had reopened doors that neither intended to open again. Brennan's unexpected discoveries had caused Anna to reconsider everything she knew about the inquiry. Finally, the parts were coming together. None of them knew how the narrative would finish, but one thing was certain. Once the truth was known, Port Charles would never be the same again.